Enneagram at work, and boy, does that microphone work. How about that? Some people in our audience tonight know what the Enneagram is. Others, it might be a complete foreign language. So by the end of tonight, my hope is that it becomes less of a foreign language. Now, granted, this is not one of those $99 exhibition type seminars where you learn things and you take stuff home. No, I'm going to just scratch the surface of what is known as Enneagram. And I call it Enneagram at work because I also use this in a very principled way at my work. I'm going to answer 4 questions for you. What? So what? Now what? And then what? You'll see that there's a nice layout to the particular speech that I have tonight in those 4 questions. But we are just scratching the surface. So let's go ahead and get started with that. With the what? Well, the what is the Enneagram. It literally breaks down into a compound word that is 9 and points. 9 points, which correspond with 9 personality types that have been identified over 100 years ago. There is one dominant personality type that we all carry. This does not mean that we don't act in the other 8, because we do. We absolutely do. We need all of these on the planet, but we all carry one dominant personality type, and that guides and directs us. Interestingly, it was birthed at our birth, and it was formulated in our tiny selves. And what we used to survive in our tiny selves may be holding us back as adults. And that's one of the wonderful things that the Enneagram has to offer here, a little glimpse of what that is. So that's part of the so what. It's ideal to know more about yourself. People who don't know themselves travel through life bouncing off of one guardrail to another. That's no way to advance. It's certainly no way to live. You end up crashing and burning oftentimes, and the Enneagram can help you avoid that. And it does that by helping you frame up the lens through which you see this world. The world that started out as little you, where this world came from. It helps you determine that. It helps you understand how it shaped your life, what things you used to survive then and now, and ideally, what may be holding you back in your adulthood. Now, I'm going to actually read a wonderful little quote because I just can't say it any better than this. So allow me to read this. The goal of understanding your Enneagram type is not to delete and replace your personality with a new one. Not only is this not possible, it would be a bad idea. You need a personality or you won't get asked to the prom. The purpose of the Enneagram is to develop self-knowledge and learn how to recognize and disidentify or remove yourself from the parts of our personalities that limit us, so we can be reunited with our truest and best selves. So really, we're talking about self-knowledge as one of the keys to why we have this Enneagram and why we use it. So now what? We know the what and the so what. The now what is, let's help understand ourselves a little bit better so that we can succeed in who we are now, in the present, and how and where we can develop and grow to become our even better self. It provides us with that kind of direction in our lives. Let's have a little bit of fun. I'm going to cover off all 9 Enneagram points, talk a little bit about them. Let me show you what that particular slide looks like. There's a lot of words on that slide. Feel free to read them. I am just going to highlight a few things from that particular slide. The first is the reformer. This is a personality type that is very principled. They are purposeful. They are self-controlled, which is a good thing and can be a bad thing. And what may be holding them back a little bit is that they are so perfectionistic. But we need these people on the planet. It's not a bad thing necessarily. So you can see their strengths are honesty, they're responsible, they are improvement oriented. I love that about this particular personality type. But their problems might be they can become resentful pretty easily because they're so perfect. They see the world in a perfect way, and when they don't see that perfection, they can be resentful to whatever they're looking at or to individuals who fall flat. Not a great scenario. Okay, that's fair. Here's a person who absolutely is a reformer. She's Emma Thompson. Not the characters that she plays, but Emma herself. She's a high activist. I love that about her. She sees the world. She addresses problems. She is an absolute reformer. The next point is the helper. I love, love, love helpers. Right? They're generous, they're demonstrative, they are giving people. They need to be loved and needed. Do you know anybody like that? Somebody who absolutely needs to be needed? I do know some people like that. They are servants earning appreciation. That is their dominant personality type. Now, their strengths are caring, they are popular, those are great strengths. They're really good at communicating. However, they might be holding themselves back because they also might feel a little bit of privilege. I think that's interesting. Because they have so many resources when they're giving, they might feel a bit privileged in holding on to those resources. They might approach something in a very naive way. And that's neither here nor there. It's just part of their dimension. They don't see the full problem. They just want to help. I'm here to help. Right. Helpers. Now, this higher emotional habit, this is what they grow to. And I like this aspect of each of the personalities. Humility is what they grow to, which is being able to know and hold on to the experience of self-worth with neither self-inflation nor excessive judgment. Balance. Think balance. Here's a helper. Anybody know who this is? Bobby McFerrin is right. Don't worry, be happy. The man is a helper. He lives this. It's really cool. I love that. The next one is the achiever. And of course, we need achievers too. They're adaptable. They are excelling. They are driven. You might easily recognize somebody that comes to mind when you think of that, right? These people are valued by what they do. They value others by what they do. And these individuals, they need to appear successful. That's just part of their makeup. They want to appear successful. Now, their problems that come along with all of this doing is that they might be a little bit overworked, which can increase the stress level that they live under. They do motivate themselves, and they often motivate others, which is a great character, not a flaw, but a great character aspect. And they move toward truthfulness. Here is our achiever that I've selected. Might you know him? Not Bobby McFerrin. Will Smith. Think about Will Smith. Now, yes, he has roles where he has put his personality into, but Will Smith is a hard-driving man. He has a work ethic like none other, and he is competitive. Like he wants to race his kids out to pick up the paper at the end of the driveway and back. And I mean, that's competitive. It's great. He's an achiever, and we need him, and we love him. Now, near and dear to my heart is number 4, because I am one. This is the individualist. They are expressive, they are dramatic, they are self-absorbed at times, and they can be pretty temperamental. That's kind of the problem side. They're moody sometimes, they're withdrawn a little bit, and they can be uncooperative. So imagine that. That's kind of difficult for me to swallow, but it's true. My higher emotional habit is equanimity, which is just an open heart to accept all these kind of emotions and find some balance there. As I've shared with you, I have something at my office that reminds me to be more compassionate. And these people have that compassion, yet it's not their first go-to. I'm working on a higher compassion. Now, I love this individualist here. His name is Ryan Reynolds. And if you've heard him be interviewed, he'll talk about his upbringing. And his upbringing was really difficult. He had to find ways to kind of hide himself behind others. So he would prop up a character. And isn't that great for being an actor? I mean, it kind of helped pull all that together, but it also shielded him. So it worked out pretty well. The investigator is number 5. Now, lots of good things about this. They are scholarly. They are highly perceptive. They are info junkies who observe rather than participate. So they're more spectator. We need these kind of people because they solve things. They're quiet. They could be private, so that's a little on the problem side. Our particular investigator is Dr. Gregory House. Not the actor, but the character that the actor plays. And think about that. House sees a problem, he's going to fix it. I've got it. I'm going to research it, I've got it. Nope, wrong. I'm going to research it again, I've got it. These are the things that an investigator does. And they do it for the thrill of investigating. And of course, that was Dr. House all over. He didn't care about the patient. He wanted the solution out there. And that's why he is such a good fit as an investigator. Next up is the loyalist. And a loyalist is pretty cool. They're engaging and they're responsible. They can be a little bit anxious and somewhat suspicious. Their strengths are courageous and they're attentive to people and issues. And that's what makes them so good at being a loyalist. Now, loyalists, they are the ones that have figured out the worst case scenario. Oh, there's going to be a nuclear attack on Indianapolis. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to move 87 miles north, and here's some real money, and here's some credit cards, and we're doing it tonight because that's going to be in the morning, and we know that because it just happens to be that way. They got it all figured out. Loyalists are very family-oriented or community-oriented. Whatever community that they provide themselves and surround themselves with, they are committed to that. My loyalist that I've selected, Mark Wahlberg, another actor who amazingly, when he is interviewed, it takes about 37 seconds before he says the word mom. It's all about his mom, what he is able to do for her, and then it's all about his brothers, and they've got the Wahlburgers out there, and it's all about loyalty to the family. That is a huge deal. Our next one, number 7, is the enthusiast. Spontaneous, they're versatile. Everyone is secretly plotting fun things for them to do. That's their mantra. These are the people that will ride that roller coaster time and time and time again. And when you're tired, they're going to ride it one more time just because they haven't vomited. They're going to go for it. And they can't stop. They can't help themselves. Now, their problems are, well, there's a little bit of self-absorbed. They can be dispersed or kind of cluttered in their thinking a bit. And they can be non-committal. The enthusiast here that I've selected, well, you shouldn't be too surprised. He's God's second son. He is George Clooney. And George Clooney, you hear about him. He pulls pranks while he's behind the scenes, doing things, great stuff, fun to be around. I love it. Our next one is the challenger. The challenger is someone who is self-confident. They are decisive. They are willful. And willful, in this case, is a great thing. Now, they could suffer from a few things that hold them back. They could be excessively angry. These people can start an argument in an empty house. I love that. Also true. For them to grow is to grow in innocence, which means to face life with an open heart and without the cynicism that can come from all this challenging thing. Our challenger tonight is Paul Newman. Paul Newman had a record of challenging the status quo. Why is the food industry all messed up? Why can't things be good for you and then charge for it and then give back 85% of the profits into charity? Yeah, why not? Okay, number 8. Our last one is number 9, the peacemaker. These people are receptive. They are reassuring. They're comforting. At the same time, they might be somewhat complacent. Don't rock that boat a little bit. And they would offer the least amount of stamina if you're going to go do something. The peacemaker's not all in. It's kind of interesting. Their problems could be stubbornness. They might be ambivalent and certainly conflict avoidant. It's just kind of tough for them because they are so peacemaker-like. Our peacemaker here is Lisa Kudrow. Not, again, the characters that she plays, although you could see her personality in many of those characters that she's played, but the individual. So that's actually 9 points on the Enneagram. I love this graphic because in each point it talks about the positivity of each of those. And it also breaks it down into triads of thinking, feeling, and doing, or action-oriented. Gives a little bit more organization to all 9 of these. Well, then what? What do we do with all this information? Well, here's what we do. We be ourselves. This quote from Oscar Wilde, everyone else is already taken, so please be yourself. But I do have one more quote that I would like to read. This is that all models are wrong, but some are useful. So if the Enneagram doesn't make sense to you now, put it on a shelf and revisit it a little bit later and see if then it might make a little bit of sense. If it doesn't end up making sense to you, okay, find another model that does. There are plenty of personality models out there. Here's the quote that I want to read, and it's really, again, because I can't say it any better than this. One of the great gifts of the Enneagram is to help us view the world from the perspective of each of the 9 personality types. By understanding the fundamental differences in how human beings move through the world, we learn to extend grace to each other for behaviors we otherwise wouldn't understand. Let me say that again. We learn to extend grace to others for behaviors we otherwise wouldn't understand. That's the jewel of the Enneagram. That is why it's so beneficial to help you understand yourself more and the way others interpret you and the way you are interpreting others. It is a fantastic tool, and that means the last then what is, how do I get started? It's simple. You point your web browser to EnneagramInstitute.com. You pull out your credit card and let them charge you $12. That's the current price. You receive a report that's rather exhaustive in its completeness, and it helps you understand you a lot better and the other Enneagrams. It helps you understand where you move to when you are bettering yourself and perhaps where you might be kind of shrinking when you're not bettering yourself a little bit. So self-identify by going to EnneagramInstitute.com. Don't not grow in your awareness of yourself or the awareness of others. Thank you. Mr. Timer, I will add.